All right. So as I've said before, we are going to discuss more about freelancing because as e-commerce and digital marketing professionals, you need to also understand freelancing itself as a business, not just as a job. Before I proceed with this one, let me ask a question. How do you define freelancing?
Freelancing is putting your skills in the digital world, sir, making money out of it, sir.
We're going to define freelancing on the next slides. But for now, let me just walk you through with the steps. Kasi sabi nga natin, these are the 7 actionable steps to professional freelancing. It's not something that is scary, in nature. It's actionable because it's there already. In fact, I have shared a lot of this already for you guys. And I just actually reconstructed these steps in such a way that it is very easy to understand for an ordinary person. The first step is what exactly freelancing is. So that is why earlier I asked this question, what you understand about freelancing. For the sake of discussion, here's a definition I got from the internet, but let me just expound it a little bit more. So this is freelancing, according to a certain website. Freelancing refers to when you perform online jobs or you work as a freelance online over the internet. And there are many different aspects to freelancing online, and that includes freelance writing, software or web development, virtual assistant, customer service, information technology, data entry, graphics design, web design, what else? Transcription, bookkeeping, online bookkeeping, proofreading, copywriting, and all these terms that we often hear from social media or on LinkedIn or in the news. Essentially digital jobs or jobs that you can do with only your computer and the internet, and of course with other tools or software that you need for you to deliver the job. But here's the thing. Freelancing, by the way, is actually not just a job. I'm not sure if you have heard me saying about this, that I see it differently. Freelancing is a business. It may not be a business for you today, but it can be a business for you in the next months or years. So it's just a matter of learning the landscape of freelancing, understanding how it works. And once you do it, once you are doing it, once you are skilled enough, once you are good enough in freelancing, time will come wherein you will realize that you can actually scale this one into a bigger business. I call this as you multiply yourself. For example, when I started, I don't have TechWorks yet. I just have myself as an individual freelancer. But as months, years, I realized that I need to have a team. Okay. And with that, I started training people. I started sharing my expertise. I started getting the word out there about freelancing and how they can join me as well in this area. And it came to a point where I was able to build a team. And on that case, it's no longer just me doing the freelance work, the freelance projects or whatever you call it, but a lot of teammates also are working with me. And if you look at it, it's already a business because it's just that you are able to scale that one from being a sole freelancer to a bigger team with several teammates also working with you. That's how I define freelancing. And by the way, I often hear this one, that is freelancing work from home? Well, freelancing can be a work from home, but not necessarily. So it's different from work from home because work from home is particularly during these times, during this pandemic, wherein private companies, even the government employees, just because they were allowed to work at home because of the situation, they call that one as work from home, but they cannot call that one as freelancing actually. Because why? They are not working independently with a client, but they are just working from home, but they have their employer and they are still under that umbrella of what we call as corporate world. It's still different. Another thing is online jobs. Yes, online jobs, it can be compared to freelancing because most freelancing jobs is usually done online. The second step is to identify your skills and focus skills. Next question is, how do I identify my skills or focus skills? If I ask this question right now to you guys, what do you think are your skills?
I could do some writing, article composition. I could also tutor since I've done it. If I were to be a freelancer, it also seeks my qualifications, and then I don't see how I would be qualified enough. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yes, that's correct. That's her skill right now. And the rest also of you may have skill in the area of bookkeeping, in marketing, or content writing. Every time I talk to newbies, every time I talk to aspiring freelancers, they tend to say something like this: I don't have a skill. I don't have a skill. I don't have skills that I can utilize for me to offer something for the client. This is just they have that kind of mentality or self-limiting belief. The truth is, all of us, regardless of your experience, regardless of your exposure, regardless of your environment, all of us have our individual skills. And it is just a matter of identifying those skills and at the same time maximizing the skills for you to leverage that as you do freelancing for clients. And by the way, before I talk more about the skills, how you can build up your skills for certain industries, let me share you this, that I have written a blog before. The title of that is The Right Digital Skills. So if you go to Google and say, for example, you search right digital skills, there you will see the second result, essentially this one. It's my blog. Here, I discussed it there. What exactly are the right digital skills that you should have if you want to become a freelancer? And while you haven't read that one yet, let me just get you to the main point of it. There are just two skills that you should have. Maybe you will be surprised here, no? Because maybe your thinking is like, okay, you said earlier you have offer different services, different areas, no? And that means having different skill sets, right? Would you agree with me, guys? That if you want to become a freelancer, you need to have lots of skills. You need to have essentially just to have the experience you need for you to start.
Yes, sir.
Well, guys, if you are starting out, you don't have that, right? You don't have that skill, but that won't stop you from being a freelancer. You don't have those skills just yet, but of course you will need it. You're right on that aspect. You will need it, but for you to just get started, you don't actually need it. As I've said in this blog, the right digital skills are actually this. You bet on your current strengths. You just bet on your current strengths. Whatever it is you have right now, you bet on that one. If you are good in writing, you bet on that one. If you are good in graphics design, if you are good in bookkeeping, if you're good in marketing, then you can bet on that one. So what exactly the point here? You can start from there. And as soon as you find your meaning already, as soon as you determine what you love doing, then it is the time that you seek to be trained or you seek to learn. Kasi nga, you need to specialize now on certain skill sets, no, or certain areas. So that is why the second skill that you should have actually is just to be trainable and coachable. Would you agree with me, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because here, all those skills that we need, all those experiences that we need, it will happen right here on this stage where you are being trained, where you are learning, when you are becoming resourceful, diba? It's actually right here. But again, the results here will depend on how you bet on your current strengths. If you are the type of person who is conversationalist or maybe not a shy type of person, but maybe just an introvert type, remember that somehow it may affect you as you learn, as you are being trained, but still being like that is not a bad thing because, you probably have within you some strengths that is not visible by a typical person outside the attribute. My point is maybe you are really good and it is not just something that you show off, but maybe you have those strengths right now. And again, you can just bet on that one. And if you decide to do freelancing, you decide already what area you want to focus on, then that's the time that you will have yourself trained. And of course, you have to continue learning for you to be skilled on that area, right? Okay, so now how do you identify your focus skills right now? For example, in the e-commerce and digital marketing bootcamp that we have right now, how do you think you can identify your focus skills? In our e-commerce and digital marketing, we have their branding, we have their buyer persona creation or client avatar creation. We discussed website development and the buyer's journey and content creation, SEO, analytics, blogging, CRM, live chat, email marketing, social media, digital marketing, Facebook ads, and all of these skills that we are trying to learn. Now, the next question is, which of these do you think you can focus on? Or how exactly will you decide which of these area you will focus?
We'll focus, sir, if where we would excel the most.
Okay, that's correct. What else?
I would focus on which am I knowledgeable on, like example, regards to social media since I am using most of it all the time. So yeah.
Right, that's correct. Okay, so all of your answers actually are all correct. So you just have to find the skill or the area, because e-commerce and digital marketing, for example, is very broad, right? And then there are just so many skills that you can learn, and you have so much opportunities to focus. The way to identify your target clients is actually to use the buyer persona and client avatar creation. Another question right here on step number 3, when you identify your target market, where do you usually find them?
You can find your clients, sir, like through websites for people looking to hire people, sir, for
Right,
certain jobs.
partially right. Here's the thing. When you identify your target clients, you also have to understand, first thing, where do you usually hang out? Second thing is, where they do usually go if they need freelancers, if they need services from freelancers. So the most popular right now actually is the use of freelance websites or freelancing platforms. Companies like Upwork, Fiverr, Freelancer, onlinejobs.ph, 99 Designs, and so on. Here in the Philippines, Upwork is the top freelance platform in the market today. And among the popular also here in the Philippines is onlinejobs.ph. And also there's this what we call as free up. This is also popular here in the Philippines. But the top freelancing platform is upwork.com. But it is also one of the difficult or the hard platform to get in, because it is a platform where quality is being prioritized, particularly when it comes to projects, to clients, and the freelancers. It's not easy to join Upwork. But for you guys, participants of the e-commerce and digital marketing bootcamp, it's like an advantage for you joining this one, because you can share invite to you to join Upwork. And the good thing about this is once we send an invite to you through TechWorks Training and TechWorks Digital, the Upwork approval process is much, much faster. It's like an advantage when you join this particular bootcamp, like the e-commerce and digital marketing bootcamp. And by the way, freelancing websites is just one of the many places where you can find your clients. Some of them actually can be found on social media, like on Facebook, on LinkedIn, or on Google. So your clients may search for certain services or for certain information about their problem. And because remember that you build your website and you have that online portfolio and it is optimized because you have done SEO for that, and that means they may found you in the search. And yes, some of the clients or the potential clients, you can also find them in the search. On my case, for example, I also hang out in Quora. On top of my Facebook page, on top of my LinkedIn profile, on top of my website, on top of my freelance profile in Upwork, I also hang out in Quora, because this is actually where I get some clients as well. How I do get clients in Quora? I actually answer questions right there, questions that are relevant to my focus skills. Sometimes I actually don't really realize that some of the people asking questions there turns out to be my client. Diba? It's just like I am there because I want to provide value by answering questions, but eventually I'm able to collaborate with that particular client after they contacted me the moment they see the answer in Quora. So there in Quora, for example, maybe you can find my profile there. So this is it. I answers questions right there. And again, sometimes those people who found my answers valuable turned out to be my clients. So as you can see right here, how do you find them or where to find them is actually up to you, based on what you will gather, based on the information that you can gather, where they usually hang out. How to secure clients? How do you get them to work with you? Well, there are so many strategies and tactics. For one, in Upwork, I developed what I call as the client acquisition funnel, the one I shared in one of my mastermind sessions in the Winning in Upwork program, wherein I shared something like the funnel and workflow, wherein I have shown there. Let me just pull that one to you. Going back to the question, how exactly you seek your clients, or how do you get clients? It will depend on your strategy, because there are so many strategies that you can do. Some of them are working sales or client acquisition strategy or client acquisition funnel. In Upwork, for example, I have this one. I start by generating clients inside Upwork. That means bidding on jobs right there, and with a goal of getting interviewed. And once I get interviewed, I have to see to it that I'm going to get the job or get the project. Essentially, that's the acquisition part. And once I am able to get that project or I'm hired, then that's the conversion part, and also the delight, essentially giving more value for that client, or helping them or helping that client make more business or generate more revenue, or essentially explore more opportunities. This is one way for me to acquire clients, but essentially it involves setting up a funnel or a pipeline. For example, you can start from having a discovery call. Then once you have the discovery call, once you understand the business of the client based on the discovery call, you can then send proposal, and then the proposal will have the details about the project, how you are going to deliver it, what's the plan, what's the timeline looks like, and how much the rate. Just it looks like that. And once you have that as your next step in your client acquisition funnel, then you can probably have the next step to that, closing that project or closing the deal. And after that, you are going to work with that client, and of course you are going to delight, you're going to deliver what is being expected from you. And once that is done, that is happening, then the client may actually give you some more additional businesses, or the client may actually refer you to friends and colleagues. Again, securing clients will follow a certain map or a funnel. Funnel actually is not just about for retail or any retail type of e-commerce business or any retail type of business. Funnel can also be used as, as your strategy when it comes to securing clients for your freelancing business. The question maybe that you have is how exactly you will get paid. And here in the Philippines, as freelancers, the most common actually is PayPal. We also have Payoneer. Another one is essentially wire transfers, and also other payment methods that your client may recommend to you. So there are just so many payment platforms in the market today, and it really doesn't matter for you right now, except that you understand that you will eventually get paid by the client through PayPal, Payoneer, or wire transfer. Now, here in the Philippines, for some of your local clients, you can get paid with GCash, Paymaya, or bank deposit or wire transfer, or coins.ph, and also through other payment platforms that we have right now in the market. So I think this one is really not that complicated to understand. It's just a matter for you of setting up for accounts with these online payment platforms. For example, you can go to PayPal, right, and sign up an account there. And of course, once you have that, then you can already start accepting payment from your clients. Or you can also try Payoneer, like this one. Payoneer, by the way, is a top online payment platforms today. And by the way, for GCash, I know you're familiar with that one, or Paymaya, it's very local, so it's difficult for you to sign up with that one or to use that. But yes, don't be afraid with PayPal or Payoneer. What you will need there, guys, for it to be able to withdraw your money from PayPal or Payoneer to your bank account is that you will just need to have a bank account. So it is important that you sign up if you are a newbie, you are a fresh graduate, if you don't have any employment experience just yet, then you just have to go to your local or nearest banks and apply in the bank for a bank account that you can use for freelancing. The second step, to be specific, is to continue developing or improving your core skills. So remember here that you identify your focus skills and you have your focus skills. You started training yourself, you started learning more about the industry you are in. And once you are doing that, you are continuously offering that as a service to clients. The next step actually is for you to sustain that one, to improve that one, and also to expand your expertise or your core skills. So this will go back to the idea that when you are doing freelancing, it is not good if you stop learning. You have to continue learning in your specific industries. And of course, you have to continue learning with, because we are in an industry that is very dynamic. You can be an expert today, you can be an updated person today, but next year, maybe you can be an outdated person already. And that will happen if you don't catch up with the trends. That will happen if you don't watch out for the latest news in your industry, or that will happen if you don't upskill whenever there's a new skill that you need to do for that particular industry. And the last step is actually to sustain your freelancing business. Here, there are many ways you can do this. It's either you can have your teams at home or in your office or in your home office, or you can probably build your own agency as well. Because again, freelancing is not a job. This is a business. And it is important that you have that direction in mind. Okay, don't just settle for average. You have to really ensure that you are growing as a person, as a freelancer, and you are growing as an entrepreneur this time. So here, if you look at it, you started as a freelancer over here. So you continue doing freelancing and become an expert on your field. And of course, you become an entrepreneur eventually. But of course, if you want to be an entrepreneur in a way that you just want to do freelancing by yourself, that is totally fine. What is important is, again, that you are able to sustain your freelancing business by ensuring that you have consistent flow of leads or consistent flow of clients or prospects. The idea actually is for you not to have no client at all. Because most newbie freelancers tend to say that I'm scared doing freelancing because I might lose clients and I might lose projects. And I don't want to have no project at all, because if that happens, I don't have income. Well, that will happen if you don't sustain your freelancing business. And the way I do this, by the way, is I don't settle for one client only. I work with multiple clients for me to ensure that even if one client ends the contract, I still have other clients in my pipeline to collaborate, to work with. And at the same time, I can easily add additional client by applying for more project or going to different platforms again, or in LinkedIn or in the Facebook group, essentially generating leads or prospects that you can fill up to your sales funnel. I'm going to open the session now for your questions and clarifications.
If we get first client, is there any training on the specific job, or like the client will say you have to do it right away? Is that happen your based on your space?
Just to make sure I got it right now. So the question is, if you get hired or if you get hired by the client, will the client provide you training for the
Yes.
job? Of course, it depends on the type of job you are applying. If the client hires you as an expert and they want you to lead them the way, they want you to help them execute something, that means you are positioned there as an expert. And by that, that means you have to set directions. You have to tell the client exactly what to do as an expert. But if you are hired, for example, for the case of virtual assistant, most virtual assistants, by the way, are hired because the client needs assistance on certain areas, right? And normally, different virtual assistant jobs have different scopes, have different tasks. And with that, normally, yes, the client provides training. But it would be better if you have an experience or idea already how the job looks like in that certain areas in virtual assistance, because normally the clients will expect that from you. But yes, there are some clients actually that can provide training. It's actually a case-to-case basis. But just to answer the question, Moy, yes, that's true. Some clients provide training.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Nigel?
I'm sure being a newbie freelancer, sir, right? How can we get the clients to trust us, sir, or hire us?
Very nice questions. On that case, Nigel, what you will do is actually, provided that you already have this training right now, right? You have been trained already in the e-commerce and digital marketing space. You can actually cite this as a reference that you have this training, you have been trained and you know exactly what e-commerce and you know exactly how to do digital marketing, or essentially just have yourself talking to the client in a way that they don't find you as someone who has really nothing. So the idea actually is to use the skills that you have right now, the learnings, and come up with a great proposal. Actually, by the way, it also boils down to how you communicate this one with the client. And so I will be providing you a script. When you set a client meeting, when you set a discovery call, make sure that you are asking relevant questions to the client and see that the client feel that you are good enough, that you understand the area you are trying to bid on or the industry you are trying to get into, ensuring that you understand their problem and then telling them that you can help them solve that problem. So yeah, again, there's a process there in the client acquisition part wherein it's actually really not just about you, it's also about the client's situation. And if the client will understand or will know that you can help them solve their problems, then I don't see any reason why the client won't hire you. And typically for newbies, you can actually cite your training for a start or your current expertise right now. So another thing is actually to do apprenticeships also. Maybe you can build up like portfolio by means of, as I've said before, by means of offering free services to certain clients in exchange of experience on testimonials. So that's how you do it, particularly if you are starting out. Did I answer the question, Nigel?
Okay, sir.
Angel, do you have something?
How would we know if we are paid by the right amount? Like, do we have a basehan on that or site if that's the standard pay for us as a newbie? Sir, excuse me.
When it comes to pricing, no? Yeah, the way we price projects in the industry is actually not based on typical hourly rate on certain countries or the typical hourly rate for certain expertise, but the ideal way to price your services as a freelancer is actually to price it based on the value you are giving or you are contributing to the client. Some may say that you have to start $3 per hour, $5 per hour. It's really somehow small for some and may also be enough for some. But yes, there's no such thing as formula or baseline. What's important there for you as a freelancer is to understand that you have that value, that you are contributing some value, and you are pricing that services based on the value you are contributing. So as you work with different clients, as you work with different projects, you are able to learn a lot more about the pricing, how others are pricing as well. As you meet different freelancers as well, you will learn exactly how they are pricing certain services, and you can actually use that for benchmarking also. But to answer that question, there's no such thing as a document or something, unless, of course, if you have that in the contract beforehand. For example, if you agreed to work on a web development project and you said, okay, I'm going to do this project for 50,000 and that's it. The client will pay 50,000 for you for that project. But yep, there's nothing in this industry that will tell you how much exactly the rate is for certain services. It's just a matter of discuss with the client, and it's also something that you based on value, the value you are contributing to the client. All right, so if you don't have any further questions, guys, thank you very much for joining this session, and I'm looking forward to having you on the next sessions. More about freelancing, I will ensure that I will do a lot more tutorials and essentially just masterminds in this area so that you can learn more from me, particularly in the freelancing side of things. Thank you guys and see you next time. Bye-bye.